3, Dana Louise printed her memoir about a multi-layer experience which began for her in the crib. Months later, she gave a talk to her local MUFON branch in the New Brighton, Minnesota, which is the Minnesota MUFON. Thank you for doing that. Let's see where. 4 months after that, she got a phone call from, how she terms it, a mysterious man with a bologna sandwich story. A bologna sandwich, that's pretty good. You knew immediately who and what he was, even if she didn't confront him about those facts. So Dana fully believes that this man discovered her and came forward because of her talk with MUFON. So they met in person, and he handed over a file about her father. This was full of confirmation of everything she suspected. Just to let you know, she wishes that she had more time to speak to you today because she has a lot to say. And I have no problem with that, Dana. Like I said, if you talk all day long and we don't do the other stuff, I'd say okay. So, Dana, hi.
Hey, can you see me?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
we see you just fine. Floor is yours.
Okay, well, first of all, I love that you started with that. And here's the deal. I kind of okay, such as MUFON, I did my research on that because like I have a voice, like we all have a voice in our head, blah 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 blah. And oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. But it was like something told me something was off. And I don't know if any of you guys believe in timelines and shifting timelines and all these kinds of things. Because I also, when I started to write my book, um, a person came forward who was a friend, and she's like, I'm also a therapist. I think you might need somebody to hold your hand. And oh, first of all, hi everybody. Thank you. And thank you for having me again, or well, again on MUFON. And thank you for the Northland people to have me come and talk. I super appreciate it. Because this is hard for me to do this. Because it's a lot. Anyway, so that being said, yeah. So this whole thing, I all of a sudden the voice said to me, look at the timeline. And I thought that I spoke to MUFON and then the man called me. But that I went into my calendar and that's off. And I'm like, wait, how did I not talk to MUFON about him contacting me? If he contacted me before the MUFON meeting, why didn't I include that? And I talked to my therapist about it. I'm like, what the hell? You were with me. I'm like, did we split a timeline and stuff like that? And let me just say, all of this stuff. We are a galactic, we're on a galactic entity or whatever. And I'm like, we all think like we just go to work and we watch football and all that kind of stuff. That's the sleepy mode. But when you wake up to all these things, what is time? When you start to look at multi-layered things, um, everything blossoms and is more beautiful and it's like mind expanding and all that kind of stuff. And so like when you open up yourself, when you just kind of like free fall into what being on the planet Earth is, it's amazing. And so I don't even know, like I mess my mind up all the time and I have to be. So this is why I went back. Like I always want to check. And this is kind of what MUFON is about also is like we want to be clear on our timelines and our checking and facts and all these kinds of things. Because I've been on a bunch of podcasts and I said so many times, oh, like la la la. And I did this MUFON talk, and then this man contacted me. But my literal calendar, this is why I'm a boomer. And all you people are like on your phones or whatever with AI. Um, I like to write stuff down. And so when I went back to that timeline, I was like, no, this is wrong. I don't understand. Okay. So I'm a hippie. I'm a boomer. So whatever. Timeline thing. Um I wrote a book, I wrote a memoir, and I didn't want to. I was hesitant because of all the things that have happened to me. And I have receipts, and we can go through all the receipts and all these kinds of things. Um, but as you brought up about the file, and the fact that now the guy contacted me before I spoke to MUFON means that the Alliance, if people are savvy to that, the Alliance was already out there watching me, waiting, because this file came forward. It's so weird to talk about this and haven't explained what the file is. This file came forward, um, and this man called me, and it just means that there's alliance and people working behind the lines that are supporting us in disclosure. Because everything he said was so baloney. I mean, like, we're going into that, and then we can go into whatever. Well, I have the whole like slide presentation, but I'm just going to show you right here. This is the freaking, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk, I swear. This is the flippin' folder that this man handed to me. And this man called me up, and I normally don't answer my phone, but I did because I was waiting for a healthcare person to call me. So I answer my phone. Otherwise, I think it's spam. And he's like, wait, don't hang up on me. I'm like, what? And he's like, do you know Donald, blah, blah, blah? I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. And then my radar went up. I was like, very suspect of this person. And he's like, um, I have this folder of your dad, or about your dad, and it was like behind a drawer in a desk that I bought 30 years ago. And I like knew immediately, like, this guy's full of baloney. Like, let's watch the story. So, like, I was in. Like, it's amazing. It's like a Black Mirror episode on Netflix or something like that. I'm gonna play along. So I went through the whole thing. The man gave me this file. But what it is to me, again, is that there are people behind the lines. There are what I call white hats. There are people in the shadow government that are trying to bring disclosure forward. Because this person said he had this file for 30 years, and the file goes from like 1959, 1960 to 2008. And when I met this man, which was like 2 years ago or something like that, I asked him, like, oh, what do you do for a living or whatever? And he said he was an IT guy. Well, IT people, I'm sorry, they're very specific, right? So how can you say you got this file 30 years ago and the file goes to 2008? Which means that this file was a document of them clocking and watching my father all these years with his progress in all this kind of stuff. And it goes deep. And yeah, I wrote a book, and it's my memoir, but now I'm kind of realizing that, and whatever. At first I was writing for my kids, but then all these psychics or whatever, like, oh, you have to write it for other people. Okay, fine, whatever. So I did that. But now I'm kind of like going deep into this whole thing of, what about my dad? Okay, so this is where I burp. And if you've seen me on other podcasts or MUFON things, when I'm an energy worker, blah blah blah, and when I clear things, I start to burp. So just to let you know. Anyway, so okay, so this man had this file, and now I'm trying to piece it together, and I think it's brilliant. Of now I'm kind of like on this whole research thing and trying to figure things out. What I'm trying to do is figure things out for all of us, all of these things that are hidden, the shadow government side and everything, and we can go back to my original book and all the kind of stuff to show some of the receipts prior to that, because I mean, I don't know. With this MUFON meeting, they probably don't know about me, and so I kind of want to like reel it back for a minute, you know, to explain a little bit more of who and how I am and who and how my father is, because it's kind of like this thing. But I think it's exciting, um, but also at the same time, disclosure. Uh, yeah. I mean, that's a huge big issue. So let's go back to the 60s. I know, whatever. This is me. Oh, this. Here's little Dana. Bow. Little Dana. Oh my God. This little poor being. This little poor being right here has already put up with great aliens up and beyond. Like, oh my God. I don't even know how to describe it. So, my first encounter with great aliens, I'm in my crib. Okay, to be fair, this is my first recollection because I'm going to tell you that everybody who's had encounters with aliens might not remember. Okay, and that's a fair fact. So, but my first recollection was I'm thinking about I'm 6 to 9 months old, and the shade rolls up. It's on a magnetic clutch and makes this huge noise. It draws my attention, and in the window is like this gray balloon. It looks like a gray balloon, right? But then I'm noticing there's eyes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, WTF, or, like, I'm going to say to you that children who have a normal life and in a loving family and nothing goes wrong and you're not being abused or there's no trauma, you don't remember these years. But I think when you click online, like there's something about it that makes you think, I might die in this moment, and you're 6 months old or 9 months old, you remember it because I do remember most of my childhood. So there I am. I see this gray balloon and it's got eyes and this mouth and all this kind of stuff. But in my room, I'm watching a spotlight go around, the brightest, weirdest light in the world. Like I've never seen a bright light, how this is. And there's a humming. And years later, when I'm in like my mid 50s or something, on Facebook, there's like people you may know or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, that's the little girl that lived behind me. And so I reached out to her, and we met up, and she's just a normal American Pie person, and I'm talking to her. And then all of a sudden, I don't know why, I started to blur out about the aliens. I'm talking about kindergarten, going through school, and all of a sudden, like spirit made me like start talking about aliens. And she stopped me. And I'm telling you, she's like, I don't feel normal, but she's the most normal person. And she put her hand on mine and she goes, Dana, I remember that. I remember the humming and the vibrations. Now, let me tell you, most alien encounters or ship encounters or something like that are quite silent, like a Tesla mobile or something like that. They're just, whatever. That's what people report. But this one wasn't. It was like vibrational, ugh, all this kind of stuff. So, 50 some years later, to have a confirmation from the little girl who lived behind me was epic. And she also does a snippet on the back of my book. And I'm like, Jenny, thank you so much for your confirmation. Um, because it's touching to me because it's like, thank you. You know, this is hard. And I didn't talk about these things. I'm 63 years old. I don't talk about this stuff. I never brought up these things to my husband. We've been married for 34 years now. And, how do you bring these things up? The minute you talk about aliens, you're seen as a loony. And the problem is, since I was a child, I'm like, no, you people are loony. We're part of a galactic world, and you people think we're orphans. Like, I see people who don't understand about aliens. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, this is between us. You're weird. But I understood in that moment that I was weird. And I never said anything to my parents. I did have to talk to my sister because when the aliens met me or saw me or were encountering me, afterwards I would have certain strange properties. I would have certain strange abilities. And I saw this woman, Sabrina Wallace, talking about it, which was very kind of like confirming and disturbing to me at the same time because she talked about psionics. I'm like, bam, 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 bam. I hit every branch off the tree. And when you have all these weird abilities, you don't want to talk to people because people are judgmental. They can't understand it. I don't understand it. But my resolve in this is that I think these are the abilities that us humans are supposed to have. And somebody was mentioning that earlier. I'm like, these are the gifts and the things that we're all supposed to have. And we've been entrapped and we've been sequestered, we've been put down or something like that. It's been taken away from us and removed from us. Um, but on many levels, this is the truth of who and how we are. So I think I've been shown these things. So when I saw the Greys, I would have these abilities, and then like 2 or 3 days later, they would calm down. Like just kind of fast forward, sidebar. There was a lot of stuff that happened to me that I didn't even know about, and it would be witnessed by 100 people, like holograms. Like I could bring up a whole conference room and it would be like a Star Trek hologram uh, room kind of a thing. Like I didn't mean that for that to happen, and that's what makes me like nervous or upset because it's like I just want to be a normal person. um, yeah, and then I'm like and then non-normalcy happens. Okay. So anyway, here are the gray aliens. Boopity boop boop boop. For you guys, because I don't know if you know me, pretty much not. So the gray aliens are witnessing me, and then I was able to, like, I remember being able to walk around the house, and then I would walk around like I was a realtor. Like, here's the kitchen. Here are the two dogs chained up. This is a TV, blah, blah, blah. I have snippets of remembering those kinds of things. And then I got a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And when I was 8 years old, here's the first receipt. Oh my gosh. Okay, I hope you guys can see this. All right. So it says special guest. And okay, I put Louise over there because it actually has my maiden name. And please understand, when you're in this realm, you have to protect your family and yourself. And I'm going to get into that anyway. So this is a Rochester airport, blah, blah, blah. I'm a special guest. I'm 8 years old. It's 1970. My parents took me out of school. I'm 8 years old. They drove me to this airport. First of all, we go into the airport and we pick up these name tags. And then we walk out to the tarmac. And I remember on the right hand side was all these men standing there like smoking cigarettes, and they got cameras and all this kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't know. And I'm like kind of the only child, and there's all these people with Fabergé and Brill cream and blah, blah, blah. I'm just standing there out on this tarmac. And up rolls Air Force One. And here comes, well, the door opens and there's like, the red carpet and all this kind of stuff. And it's Pat Nixon and Tricky Dick. And he's the president. And Pat Nixon walks up to me and hands me a long stem red rose, which I kept up until, okay, probably about 30 years ago when I married my husband and blah, blah, blah. The rose probably got lost, but the name tag didn't get lost. Because I still had that. But when I was writing my book, I was sitting there and the voice said to me, and I called the voice. I don't know what you want to call it. We all have the voice like, oh, do this, do that. You should, like, there's that inner voice, that voice that's in your head, you know? Um, it's just that voice. I don't know how to describe it to you. But the voice said to me while I'm writing the book, oh, you should look up the presidential diary. I'm like, WJF is the presidential diary. I don't know what a diary is. There's a presidential diary. So I went in and looked. Okay, oh, there's a presidential diary. So I went into that date for Nixon. And okay, blah, blah, blah. He had a junket and he was on like his spaz for like, I think it was like the next term. I don't know, because I don't really get into details. I'm kind of laissez faire. I'm a hippie. I don't even really care. I just like, is the pizza good? I'm gonna eat it. I don't care what all the ingredients are. So anyway, I'm looking at this presidential diary and oh, also I'm like, what was the weather? Because I remember how the weather was, and I like to confirm things. I know how I experienced it, but let's go into the 3D. How was the weather that date? And it was exactly how I thought it was. But anyway, this voice, spirit, whatever you want to call it, said, look at this presidential diary. And so, yeah, there's some secretary that dictates all the things. And this is actually the docket or the what do you call it? The flight manifesto, blah 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 blah. So here it kind of is. I'm like, you guys can all go in and go over the presidential diary, and there's Haldeman and all these things, and there's all the people listed on all the flights that day. But you know who's not listed? Pat Nixon. And she's the one that came and gave me the long stem red rose. Now, why is that important? Because to me, it says sub rosa. It's a Mason thing. It's a whatever thing. I'm so, oh, see, that's when I start to burp. I'm sorry if the plane went down. Pat, her body, she's not listed on the flight manifesto. Per the, blah, 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 whatever, all the things. She's not there. And here she is handing me a red rose. I'm sorry, but I thought that was a little bit interesting. So at this time was about when I felt that the Greys were done with me. They weren't picking me up at night, doing these things. Now, let me say, I have to do a sidebar because sometimes when I do these talks, I forget about this. Um, Fast forward to chapter 1 of my book. Um, and I'm going to tell you, legitimately, I spent about 9 months looking at my screen. I thought I'd write this book and it would be like, blah, write what you know. And be like, blah, 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 6 months later, blah, blah, blah. Literally, I spent 6 to 9 months looking at the first paragraph and rewriting. I'm like, how do I write this? How do I write this story? I don't even know where to begin. And then my nephew, who's an award winning, he's actually a writer with a big agent and all that kind of stuff. He's like, just do it. Just do it. And I'm like, okay. So I did it. All right. So I started writing. And then I'm kind of like, this is the most boring thing. Like, I was born in Fridley, Minnesota, blah, 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 blah. And then my son, who was 30 at the time, he's like, Tarantino it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, Tarantino it. Like, take something exciting or something from the middle and bring it to the front and then, like, explain later. I'm like, oh, that's great. So, what I did was I took the chapter of when at the end of my block, she still lives here. She was an English teacher, my neighbor. We were chit-chatting at the end of the driveway, and you know how like you're talking to somebody and like like you're doing this or you're doing that and you're talking and blah blah blah. We have our own like different like sidebars that we're like running like sidebar programs. So her and I are talking, la, 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 and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I got a zit on the back of my neck, and like, like, oh, I'm talking to her, picking the zit, and like half concentrating, like, we have these windows like on Zoom. Half of me is like, I'm picking a zit, half of me is talking to her, listening to her, and all of a sudden like, the zit broke, and I'm like, I'm expecting a piece of pus. Right? Isn't that what we all expect? But no, it wasn't. It was like this black square thing. And I was like looking at him like, well, what is this? And and then my neighbor was like, what is that? She saw it on my finger and I'm like, I don't know. This just popped out of my neck, blah blah blah. Now, the blessing is that her and I had just kind of become friends, and she was like seriously the first person that I was ever able to reveal myself to. And she said, you need to contact this woman. I think her last name is like Wentworth or something like that. She goes, she can extract alien tech, alien blah 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 in your body. I'm like what are you talking about? Like, I'm a normal housewife. Like, um, because I'm always in denial, like like the river. Anyway, so she's like, no, you need to do this energy system and stuff like that. So I went to this Wentworth woman and did the things, and then like here we are. I don't know the timeline. This thing came out of my neck, and I'm gonna tell you, it's the early '90s, so none of us had really cell phones or any of that kind of stuff, and this happened in the moment. Even today, I don't think any one of us would have been able to like maybe some generation XZ, I don't even know, might have done that. But when she took it off of my finger, she tried to vet it as well and crumble it, and it didn't fall apart. And she goes, "This is a microchip." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I'm like, we were like befuddled. And as we sat there and like our heads are basically clashing, and we couldn't dissolve it with our fingers because I'm like, maybe it's a piece of ash or dirt, or, I'm coming up with a bunch of excuses, denial. And she had it, and then it evaporated. And then we both went, whoa, what? Okay, groovy. Let's go back to little Dana, who's being interrupted by gray aliens. And now I'm about, I don't know, I'm going to say 4 years old. You have to understand that I'm a precocious child. Like, I'm super huge. I don't think it's just my normal Norwegian self, but I'm like super tall, super big, blah, 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 all these kinds of things. And we lived across the street from Lock Lake in Fridley. And my mom's inside smoking cigarettes, watching the soap operas, probably talking to women, blah, blah, blah. And children were feral, 4 year olds. And especially me, because I was like tall, so I looked like I was older. So I was able to run. And so I'm down there by the lake and we're off to the side and I'm standing there with all these other kids. I'm looking at the shoreline and then all of a sudden I'm booped up into the hill of this house. The last people there by this trestle by a train track, and so there's a hill and I booped up into the trees. And um and as I'm there I'm like I can see gray aliens. Just so you know, whenever I've been around aliens, there's a frequency thing, there's a vibrational thing. And if you want to go into like a lot of Buddhist or ancient Hindu texts, like 2,000 years or whatever, when they're talking about these gods, they talk about fire and sound and stuff like that. And I think that's them describing this element or this environment for me, that whenever I've encountered aliens, there's this different shift in frequency as opposed to what us humans, our environment, like goldfish, our environment is different. Their frequency is different. So it's this flash. Like I can see them, but I can't really see them. And it's like, and I'm up there, and then I'm back down by the water. And so then when I was back down by the water, my immediate response was like Barry in Close Encounters, the little boy, oh, toys, come, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, that harkened me so much because I'm like, that's how I was. Like, hey, and I literally was because everything is telepathic. All the conversations are telepathic. You don't talk. I mean, like, let's go back to the Tower of Babel. Talking was when the Tower of Babel is, because before that we had frequency, we had telepathy. Anyway, so I'm like, hey, come out, play, show yourselves to my friends. Like, let's do the thing, la la la. Well, that wasn't the case, and then they were gone. Now these aliens, these grays, were a little bit taller, I feel, than the ones that came at night. Um, so in that moment though, I felt a piercing or a pain above my buttocks cheeks. And I felt like somebody stabbed me with like a stick. And it didn't feel good and I wasn't happy. And so I ran home and then we had one of those Ramblers, those 50 Ramblers, even though it was like probably built in 1961, like a 50s Rambler. They had those big mirrors, blah, blah, blah. And I had a little stepping stool. So I remember going home, getting up on the stepping stool, and then looking at my buttocks um, to see what had happened. And there was no blood or anything like that. I didn't really notice the divot. But when I got a little older, I always noticed there's this like divot, perfect divot, like chiseled out above my buttocks. I don't know what to say. So anyway, I can't tell you if what popped out of my neck because I'm kind of like, slivers run their course, things run their course. I don't know if what popped out of my neck came from my buttocks from that day or they're two separate issues. I don't know. And also, what I'm going to tell you is I don't know. And I don't have explanations. All I have are my experiences from the heart and um my beliefs or what I suppose or in conclusion to all these kinds of things. But that's all the more I can give. So here we go. All right. Now I'm going to fast forward kind of, really fast forward to I'm in my mid 40s. And I mean, okay, so I've been in this house for 34 years, and my husband and I, we have two sons, and uh, you know, it's a stupid rambler. Like, why do they put, like the master bedroom and the kids and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. I guess most of these houses were built before there's like the baby monitors and all that kind of stuff. So to have a nice evening, like a date night, but you don't get a babysitter, we would go downstairs. We had a pull-out couch. We'd make some daiquiris, watch TV, have a fire. Right, we're having a date night, la la la. We're on a budget, we're in our 30s or 40s or whatever. Anyway, so here we are. And I still never said anything to my husband about aliens or ghosts because I'm going to tell you, I'm only talking about aliens to you guys, but I'm going to tell you. All right, sidebar. The supernatural and paranormal is always going on. Like those whole drone things that were going off on the East Coast, everybody's like, these drones. I'm like, you people don't even understand these drones because number one, you got ET's coming like really out from way out outer space. And then you have hybrid humans checking in on it. And then you have the shadow government on it. And then you have humans and dipshit humans with their drones. But then you have the angelic realm. And people keep forgetting about the angelic realm. And that's the key to what is going on around here. A lot. So, anyway, so here we go. My husband and I'm thinking about 45 years old, sleeping downstairs. Next thing you know, I wake up and we got this pull-out couch. I wake up because my neck is hurting, my head is hurting, I have a headache, whatever. And that's not normal. And like, WTF, like, blah, blah, blah. And I look, and I guess we're not doing the slideshow today because this is just easier. Anyway, okay. So in my basement, there's only one door in and one door out. Like, psh, that's the thing. So here it is. So here's this little thing that looks like a can. If I back it up a little bit, so these are walls. This is the hallway, and you can see there's like other entities, boopity boop, that are just like this, and it's kind of angry looking. And so, if you can see, there's a little like sidebar bastard. Anyway, um. So these guys are coming in, and they're probably, I don't know, this tall or not even this tall. They look like logs. And I call them sea monsters because it's Sigmund and the sea monsters. We'll get into it. So they look like chopped wood. And they were very square and very angular and very angry looking. And they're coming in. And I'm like, oh my God, WTF, what are you guys doing here? And then I have a lot of, oops, I didn't mean to flip you guys off. I have a lot of French words. I say a lot of French, blah, 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 blah. I'm very colorful in my language. But this is all telepathic. Okay. Like, I'm not mouthing this. Like, when you talk to aliens, it's telepathy. So, hello, people. You should learn telepathy. Anyway, so here we go. Here are these people. And one of them stepped aside, and I think she was like a female. Her voice seemed more female. And she's like, oh, are we scaring you? And I'm like, yeah, WTF, French, 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 French. And she's like, oh, how's this? And then they shape shifted. And just so you know, yeah, shape shifting, everything is mercurial in it's all mercurial, shape shifting, all these kinds of things, blah, blah, blah. You have to understand that. This whole 3D thing that we're experiencing, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so, and I also believe that the shape shifting is kind of on the onus of the person witnessing. I'm not so quite sure that they actually shapeshift. And see, this is where I'm like, I don't have answers. I have more questions. I can't tell you the things. I only can tell you my experience. I experienced them shapeshifting, but certain Native American communities would say that that is per on my mind and how I'm envisioning them. So I just love that. Like, let's poke into that more. But anyway, so they shapeshifted. They were a little more around, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, is this better? I'm like, French, French, French. Anyway, okay. So then I'm like, why are you here? That's my most polite way to put it to you. Why are you here? And she's like, this is what I love. She goes, we're here to save your planet. So, this is with the people with Middle Earth and all this kind of stuff, blah, 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 which I could say is completely true, could totally be real. I haven't experienced it that I know about. Could be there. But she's saying, we're here to save your planet. So that means she's not from here, right? We're here to save your planet. And our planet. Okay, we're here to save you, us. What? What? I mean, like, there's a lot of people, and my youngest son is like, hey, what if the Greys are us in the future because something goes wrong with the sun and we develop, species develop, and we develop big eyes and all this kind of stuff because something happens with the sun. I'm like, that could be very well true. And maybe these whatever entities were trying to keep us away from that. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you, I don't know all day long. So don't talk to me. I don't know. Anyway, we're here to save your planet. Great. So I'm upside down on the edge of this bed. I'm like, my neck is hurting, blah, blah, blah. And in this moment, I'm frozen. I have the whatever you call it, freezing, whatever. So I'm like trying to like fight my way through it. I want to say atrophy, but that's not the correct word because I'm like talking to you guys, so my brain is clicking. Anyway,
Sleep paralysis, maybe?
yeah, paralysis, sleep paralysis. I'm like, ugh. So I'm like trying to get my head up onto the mattress, and I do, and as I do, I can see down now towards my toes. And in that moment, there's like this light to the right, kind of like, so here's the bed, and it's like off to the right, and here's this light. And it reminds me of like the old dentist lamp from when I was growing up. It was kind of like this oblong thing, well, and it looked like a seashell. The really beautiful interior, but this one is like big and it's over my toes. And I'm looking at it, and as I do, and my husband, he's over there. So I'm at the foot end of the bed, and my husband is there, typical of all the things that have ever happened to me. And I'm talking about angels, ghosts, blah, 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 shadow men. You'd have to remember, it's a lot, but he's totally normally knocked out. And there he is, beautifully sleeping like a little prince, and he's not, aware or helping me. And here's this light, and out from underneath this light comes this entity. And I want to do a sidebar real quick because when I was writing my book, the last year, I said to Spirit, my book was very vanilla at the time. I didn't talk about reptiles. Sorry if I'm bringing up too much. I didn't talk about all the nasty things that are going on and blah, 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 all the stuff. I kept it very PG. And then I said, I had a prayer and I said, this is, like I was in my third year of writing this book, which was like, I couldn't believe it. Thank God of COVID. I don't mean to say that, but I'm like, everybody else was sitting there in their PJs. I'm like, it was totally legit. And so I'm like, hey, if you want something in this book, you have to show it to me. And then all the wheels fell off, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, I saw again Close Encounters of the Third Time. Like, I've seen that movie 20 flippin' times. But the click never happened because I've always been in denial. Like, I don't want to be this person. I just want to be a normal suburban housewife and eat Doritos, and I don't like football. Like, I don't care. That's how normal I am. And the end of the movie, when they were like, there's this, the spaceship comes and all the people who had been abducted come off and the military people. And then there's this or POC, piece of crap entity that comes off and he's like all skinny. He's like, beep, 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 beep. Well, first of all, before him are all these like wobbly hybrid babies. Like, it's disgusting because, okay, I'm going to tell you in a minute. Anyway, and then here comes a beep, 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 beep. Like, all you people are thinking, like, oh, this is a great part of the movie. I'm triggered. Okay, he was a little bit big. But if you witness in Hollywood, they're showing these long, tall, skinny, like Jack Skeleton in where the heck that movie is, like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Look at how many times they have these like tall, long, lanky creatures. Okay, so anyway, I'm writing my book and I'm witnessing this again, and then all of a sudden it brings me back to the creature that came out from underneath the lamp, the skinny creature. And there's this other guy that has this podcast, and bless his head, bless his heart, he's like, "Can you sketch these things?" I'm like, "I'm not a really good artist." But anyway, so here it is. Um, uh, it's backwards. So this is kind of the lamp, and as you can see, see those eyes, this thing. And there's my tootsies, there's my feet, but the dude is wearing black speedos, and okay, over here's my sleeping beauty husband, whatever. So anyway, so here he comes and he's smiling and looking at me, and at this moment I realize after I was 8 years old, I probably started drawing these stick men, blah blah blah, which are representation of this skinny guy. And I've never seen an alien that's had clothing on. I'm telling you, his hips are about this big, and he's smiling. Okay, burping again. Sorry. And he's coming over me, and that's when I black out. Yeah. So I was aware of him as a child, but I didn't recall him. And that's what I want to say to a lot of people. You might have memories or thoughts about certain things, but you might not be able to recall it. You may or may not. I don't know. Okay, so 8 years old, I get the rose from Pat Nixon. This weird entity shows up. But I'm going to tell you at the same time. And I love this about MUFON because when I was originally introduced to MUFON, they're like, no, we're very strict about here's UFOs and stuff like that. And I'll get into that in a minute. But I've also listened to other speakers who are talking about this galactic weirdity. And when you just like free fall into like, we are part of this galactic family and we are not orphans, the whole world opens up and things make a lot more sense. Okay, so I'm dismissed, but at the same time, okay, my dad is an electrical engineer and he's working for Honeywell and Univac. And I'm going to tell you that file that was given to me had classified papers, and classified papers talking about my dad being involved with NASA, all these kind of right pats, all these kinds of things. It just went crazy, and that's why I'm thinking there might be a second book because I have to do a lot of research about that. And this is all about Manchurian candidates and all this kind of stuff. It gets really, really deep. So anyway, so my personal experience is that the Greys aren't visiting me anymore. This squiggly guy, la la la. Um, But if you've ever watched the TV show The Big Bang, there's a character, Amy, who's Sheldon's girlfriend. And it's triggering for me because they show Amy a lot of the times in this like little house on the prairie, like pajamas, with a yoke and a very strange pattern on the sleeves and everything like that. That, I'm like, I don't know when that show came out, but that outfit, those pajamas are from the 70s or 60s or whatever. Like that's old school. And that was the stuff I was wearing back then in the 60s. And I remember after this part ended, standing out on my front lawn and looking up to the sky. Now I'm in Friendly Fridley and I'm looking south. I'm trying to decide. It's southwest. Yeah, southwest. I'm looking, and the sky vibrates. I mean, people understand that everything is about frequency, vibration, all these things. It's very scientific. So anyway, I'm standing out there. I'm a little girl, and the whole sky is going and shaking. Now I'm also going to tell you that I was told this voice that the didgeridoo and Tibetan throat singing and any throat singing around the world, it's not a prayer, it's not a meditation. These people were trying to open up the vortex to the other world, the firmament, people. I don't like to get biblical, but this is the thing. When we stop naming things like it's biblical, this and that, because so much is false and so much is true. Like many religions have been hacked, but if we can like discern what the truths are, we become more wise as to what's going on. So here I am, I'm a little girl, and my toes are clinging in the grass with the dew, and I'm wearing this prairie dress, and the whole sky is ripping open, and um ships are coming through. Now it's not a battle, and they are met by our ships. Again, remember, we have ETs, we have half breeds, we have the shadow government. This is not about the the stupid human people, and this wasn't at this point about um, the heaven interruptions or anything like that. The angelic world, not at this point. But this is when Reagan, or before Reagan, is talking about um Star Wars and all that kind of stuff. So when these presidents talked, I heard things differently. And I'm sure the white hats, do you understand what white hats are? This isn't the computer hackers, the white hats and the black hats. These are actual people that are up there working and doing things. These are shadow government people. And I was taken up as a child to be working with this program. And I want my flippin' pension. Okay, MUFON people, MUFON. I want my pension because I worked in the super space program for, I can't tell you, most of my life until just basically a few years ago. I think I'm called up every once in a while. But I worked on ships. I didn't work. I was on a special detail to witness what was going on certain ships and what they were doing. And to me, they were harvesting loosh and doing certain things to people who were sleeping, all this kind of stuff. But I'm different because I'm working in space. I don't remember being, oh my God, um, Mars or outer space 20 and back, all that kind of stuff. I just remember my experience, the things that I remember. Thank you, God. And I don't want to do any like memory recall things to remember anymore because I've had enough. But anyway, so I remember being in space and I remember being on rivers. I'm going to tell you the Stillwater River, huge, huge thing because we have 0 point energy. Look up and Google and think about 0 point energy and all that kind of stuff. That's more harvesting. And then more recently, I've been more in smaller airports and stuff like that. But that Netflix show, Three Body Problem or whatever it's called, when they were going through the Panama Canal, I'm like, oh Lord, yeah, I've been on those ships, like the whole panoramic of the background thing. I'm not watching what's going on the show. I'm watching the background because I'm like, oh snap. I don't know what's going on over there. There's there's so much going on in this world and this planet, and we don't know about it. We're benighted and we're kept stupid. And my whole thing is, how do we do a prison break? How do we liberate ourselves? And I think that that's the gift that I've been given by the attributes, the psionics, and all these kinds of things. I've been shown a door. I've been shown these things. I've been given a voice. I've been able to talk to you guys and stuff like that. And so it's like, and I think the alliance is how this man came forward. Let me go back and tell you about him. Because, like, I met this guy with this file. And let me tell you, he's telling me this file was 30 years in this, behind this drawer of this desk that he had. And I'm like, what a bunch of baloney. Like, baloney. That's where I start to sound like I'm from Fargo. Anyway, anybody that's had children or just yourself, if you have a desk or a drawer, anything kept behind it, what's back there? It's a felt factory. I'm like, it's going to be full of felt. And this thing was pristine. And like I said, it went from 19, actually 59, with government documents, secret, to 2008. And this guy's like, he said he found this file. And then he's telling me, I wish I knew your dad. I wish I worked with your dad. I'm like, dude, you found a file. You wish you worked with my dad. Like, seriously, people, if you went to like Salvation Army, you got a desk, you're not making those statements. And I'm like, oh, are you an electrical engineer? Which was my dad. Oh, and let me tell you, there's evidence like him talking to NASA at Wright Pats. And I posted that. Like, Spirit told me, like, oh, take a picture of that and post it. And like, I just did it. And then people like MUFON people or whoever is coming back, like, your dad was at Wright Pats. He was reverse engineering the alien tech. And I'm like, yeah. And like, on my slide presentation, I was like, blah 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 blah. My dad talking about all this, like all these subjects. I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy stuff. Anyway, so here's this dude. Oh, I wish I knew your dad. And there was a man. My dad died in 2010. And let me tell you, like, just after I wrote my book, I'm like, oh my God, I wish we had pictures of my dad with Hubert Humphrey, because my dad was a Republican. Hubert Humphrey was a Democrat. My dad was, they were both in politics, blah, blah, blah. But Hubert Humphrey knew my parents' names, knew all of us, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, God, I wish I had some proofs or pictures of Hubert Humphrey with my dad. But like, all that crap was gone because, like, we were just pitching everything like a, like, hey, for my family. Like, I'm like, I got pictures. Oh, I got twirled around. Pictures of my dad with Hubert Humphrey and pictures. These are called proofs. Pictures and pictures. So when this file showed up, I'm like, wow, God. Thank you, God. Like, here is all the proof I flipping prayed for. It just keeps going. Like, oh, they're falling all over the floor. I'm like, it just keeps going. All this proof. So I know ding ding well that this file is a CIA file. That they were like, they had my dad's old Christmas labels and stuff like that. That I know like was thrown away by his secretary because my dad has secretary type up all the Christmas. Here were all the Christmas names and stuff like that. Like, and 2008, that's not 30 years ago, dude, and you're in IT. So I just watched, I'm like, oh, tell me more of your baloney story. But what I want to say to you guys is that there are people behind the lines that are trying to support us for disclosure. Now, what kind of disclosure? Because every time, like again, when the aliens were, so the little guy, with the light, the lamp, I was knocked out after I saw him coming forward. So I assumed he, here's this bright light up my up lighting me. So I'm assuming he took my eggs. And it wasn't until, decades later, a decade later, I'm writing the book and I'm talking to a woman, thank you, God. And she's like, you guys like had a date night, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, so it's probably not just your DNA. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah. They've got the family jewels. They've got my husband's DNA and my DNA. And so, like, I know that I separate things even as a child. Like, how can I function in this world with the things that have happened to me? I separate them. And so to think that these aliens who want to save the planet have my full DNA children, I can't entertain these thoughts. I can't. I love my children so much, and like the first few times, and probably the first MUFON talk, and like even right now, I can feel it coming up about wanting to cry and being upset. But it's like, think about it. You and your partner and some aliens have the whole keys to the house. What happens? What are they doing? Are they cloning? Are they harvesting?
And welcome back, everybody. And Dana, I forget where the heck we were, but
I know where we were.
okay, fire away.
Okay, so my thing is, we were, well, blah, 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 more or less talking about the realms, and well, I sidebar as to when we were kind of offline. Um, I was talking about myself earlier about being in these pajamas and looking up at the sky, and here is this sound. And if you go to a Vikings game, you're going to hear the longhorn. I'm talking about the didgeridoo and all this kind of stuff. And when you play video games, apparently the kids told me it's called Legion. It's the whole. And as so you could sit there and you could say, oh, this is like spooky space things or witchy poo, whatever, la la la. But it's also scientific. It's called vibrations, whatever. And um, I'm sorry. This thing right here is made up of atoms that are vibrationally moving around. Like this thing isn't actually solid to me in my realm. This is an imaginary thing that we create and we visualize it as being more solid. And there's a lot of science that backs up my thoughts about all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here we are, and I'm a child, and I'm standing out in the grass in my front yard, Fridley, Minnesota, blah blah blah. And you should look up Fridley, like Minnesota. Oh my God, and all this kinds of things. Oh my, there's so much to talk about. I don't even know. Another day. Anyway, and I'm a child. Fast forward, here's a movie called Ender's Game, which talks about children basically being in the super space program. Because here's the thing, children are malleable. They're malleable or whatever, however you say it, blah, blah, I shouldn't use it. Um, they're young and they don't know, and you can tell them whatever. And they told them that they're playing a game and doing all these things. And so what you need to know is that my dad was this electrical engineer At his funeral in 2010, a man came up to me and my sister and me, to be more precise, and said, "Oh my God, I don't know why they fired your dad. He was a genius. He changed the supercomputer." Let's go back to the file. And thank you to the MUFON people. Oh my God, MUFON people. Because, oh yeah, sidebar, like, hopefully I'll be able to retrack back to this. And I had this in the slides. It's like, I was going to MUFON. I'm like, WTF, like, my dad had this little box in our basement that, he told me he like it's these dials, and I've been trying to find photos of this and I can't do that. And actually in the files, like we were gonna do like this thing, he went to Dunwoody like in the 50s, but then in like 9 years later he had this like professional thing out of New York, blah 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 blah. And then when he was in like Korean War, he was a radio operator, and like, oh my God, the Korean War, I don't even know. So anyway, all this kind of stuff. um so my dad, I'm like, hey, he had this box about this big in our basement in Fridley, Minnesota. Okay, I was probably about 10th grade, because I'm a dork, I'm a dweeb, I'm a nerd, I'm all the things. I was like trying to pursue the male species, so I learned about like how to like put on like feathers and all this kind of stuff. Cause like I'm a dork and a nerd. And like I did the class that was about um Morse code, and like I learned Morse code, blah 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 blah. So I'm doing all these kinds of things and learning all about that. And I'm writing my book, and I'm suddenly realizing your dad had this thing in the basement. It was about this big. And I remember the like green model bubbly, blah blah blah. And I said to my dad, like, what do you do with this thing? He's like, oh, I talk to people from around the world. I talked to this guy in Australia and Japan, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I'm so benighted. Like, I think when you have so much trauma, it's like, more trauma, more trauma. Like, we'll just take it all in. Like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I'll buy that. And I'm writing my book, and I'm like, Dana, the dude said he's talking to people from around the world. Was there a ham radio station or like a tower behind your house? Was this box had a cable? A coaxial cable? Anything? It was just plugged into the flipping wall. Like, hello, wake up. What was this box? There's nothing to say that this flippin' box could talk around the world, and especially back in the day. So thank you, MUFON, all my MUFON friends. I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, oh, your dad must have been like specialities, super sushi. I don't even know. Thank you to Steven, Mike, and Tori, and all these guys who have helped me. And they're like, he had a clam radio. And you can't have a clam radio. And I've been digging. People send me clam radio pictures, and I'll like confirm the one because I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the clam radio yet. Mm-mm-mm. And so, how do you talk without a tower to people or a coaxial cable or any of these kinds of things around the world from a basement in a house in Fridley, Minnesota? Not possible. But we just took it for granted. Like, Dad said the thing, this is the thing, and stuff like that. So, yeah, so this guy came up to us in 2010 at my dad's funeral. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe they fired your dad. And it's me and my sister. My dad's actually being shoved into the back of the hearse in this moment. I'm raw, I'm real. And and my dad always said he quit. And I'm like, okay. like, can both be true? Because I'm always about can both be true. I'm that person. Can both be true? Can two things happen at the same time? Blah blah blah. That's my nature. Um, and I told my sister, I'm like, that just proves to me because I always said to her, without knowing, people, okay? Because I didn't look like you can say, oh, do you know this person? No, I don't know because I don't care. I'm not in this realm. I don't want to be in this realm. I would just want to be a housewife that dusts and eat Doritos and drinks margaritas. Like I just want to be normal. I'm like I don't want to be a part of this thing at all. Anyway, so this guy says this thing, and I said to my sister, that just proves to me that I was traded for alien technology. And when I got the file, I'm going to tell you that it says classified and NASA and all this kind of stuff. And you can look at my website. And I was going to do this presentation or whatever with all the slides, but it's just easier this way, not. But anyway, I guarantee you, if my mom knew that my dad talked with NASA and Wright Patterson, she'd be all about it at her bridge things, and I would know about it and all these kinds of things. Like that, that was never discussed. It was secret. So here's this guy at my dad's funeral saying, "Ah, they fired your dad, and my dad always said he quit." And what I want to say to you, okay, so there's this person called Sabrina Wallace. I can't get into it. I don't want to take up a bunch of your time and stuff like that. But I saw some of her videos and it's a long, huge story. And it's very convoluted and like I don't even know how to like cipher all of this. And she said, "Oh, the UFOs will come and they'll zap you and you'll have the psionic abilities," which I completely hit every branch out of that tree. Okay, so all these kinds of things. And so I don't even know where I'm going because I'm kind of getting lost in this. And this is sometimes what happens. So here I am as a child, psionic abilities. Oh, I'm sorry, where am I going with this? And my dad and his funeral. Okay. And I told my sister, um, you know, I was traded for these things. And I'm sorry, I think I showed you this, right? Did I show you this? So again, when I went to MUFON meeting, I'm like, you guys, what is this? And they're like, oh, that's the supercomputer. And so, okay, here we go. Clicking again. I'm like, what? And the guy at the funeral was like, your dad transformed the supercomputer. He's a genius. La 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 la. And I'm like, to my sister, I'm like, I know, I was traded for alien, blah, 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 supercomputer, blah, blah, blah. And all these kinds of things. And we're moving forward. And oh God, now I'm losing it. Like, I hate this. When I lose it again, these are the things. So it just was substantially legitimizing everything I was thinking or saying is that my dad was involved with these things. And then I got the file and it was more confirmation. And this is all confirmation of all these things of that we think we're an orphan planet, but that's not the truth. And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And this is probably why I need to write the second book because we go into like Space Force and all these kinds of things. And just normies, normal people think like, oh, this is it. And we just watch football and we go to work and stuff like that. But that's not the truth. If we had a secondary planet or solar system, that we could work with, we would be like they couldn't keep that from us. But the truth of it is like we think we're orphaned, but we're not. And so they're using children to do their dirty deeds, such as myself with the super space program, all these kinds of things. And I know that sounds completely wackadoo. And like that's why um I call my book, this is gonna sound weird because like I don't want to expose any of these things. I don't want to say Marvel Comics is more true to the things that are going on this planet than not, because we all just want to be in the gerbil cage. We just all want to run on the wheel and go to work and all these kinds of things. But what I want to say is, if you want to have fun, if you think life is boring, you want to like what give up and all these kinds of things, open up your mind for half a second to what is really going on. Just give it a crack. And when you do, all the wheels are going to fall off, such as mine. And you're going to be like, oh my God. And you're going to embrace being a galactic person. And then you're going to embrace being a, what I call a whole, holy human. And that is my, and in my book, please, like when I said like I gave it like that last year, I'm like, okay, fine, spirit, whatever. Because my, like I said, my book was very vanilla. And then it's like, seriously, Dana, if you want to connect with it with humanity and help people, give them some exercises that'll like blow their minds, shake them up, like crap their pants about who and how you are. The things that the crap that I have to deal with. I want to give you energy exercises so that Thanos doesn't like take over this planet, because the thing of it is like I want us to be whole holy humans. That is our divine right. If you want to go into religious realms, that is the thing. That is what they talk about. And I feel that that's where I'm coming. I know that that's where I'm coming from. I'm trying to help a prison break on a holy realm of reminding us that we are humans and that if we unite and stand up and speak up, um, divinity will shift. Things will shift. We're all sitting here going like, oh, we're super placated by all these things. But that's a falsehood. These political things, these parties, these systems. And if we all did a prison break, you know, and that's what I'm thankful for, because I think there's an alliance, the alliance, and the white hats that I know are out there. And one of the last guys, oh, I don't have it if I can find it here. Like I saw a red drone recently, blah blah blah, in front of me and stuff like that. And I think he was trying to support me. He was a whole human. This drone. And we had all these drones, right? But like again, I'm repeating myself. There were these drones last year, ETs, hybrids, human shadow government things, dipshits, and the angelic realm. Because now we've called forward the angelic realm. And I'm going to tell you, listen to the people who are showing you, and watch when there's like eclipses. I'm sorry, things like this. There are angels coming down. The angelic realm is drawing near. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people are like, these are not the end times and all this kind of stuff. But I'm seeing it and watching it. And I know as far as MUFON is, and I myself, I don't want to get into this biblical things. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be drawn into it. But this is the reality of a different faction. It's a faction. It's a realm. And this
Awesome.
is what's going on. And so, and if we can go back to, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, mayhaps that is when we had our full divinity, right? And then you look at the serpents, the reptiles, and that's when things fell apart. And that is who's in control the realm today. So if we can go back to our divinity and stand up and talk about these things and be what I call whole holy humans. But there's the alliance and there's the white hats and there's many factions that are here to support us with disclosure. Now, are gray aliens going to be walking around and working at Subway? No, because again, it's like goldfish. It's a different realm. They can't work, they can't be in our frequency. It's just a different thing. They can't be here. They did try. I'm thinking, please look into the Hindu Vedic histories and stuff like that. They really talk a lot of truth about how this realm is and how many eons or epochs and all these kinds of things with all these different realms and things like that. They really speak a lot of truth about that. So dig into that stuff. That's how it is. But for today, we all need to wake up. It's not just about football. And if you feel like you're really bored, the thing of it is, all you have to say is a prayer, because everything's frequency. So it is your voice speaking words and vibrational singing, all these kinds of, like, I don't even know how to describe it to you. But if you say out to the universe that you want to know more, universe will bring it. But you better buckle up. Because, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But it's fun. Like, if you think the world is boring, it could get a lot more exciting. Just be prepared. So, and with that, I embrace you all, and I embrace your open-mindedness. And I know I sound loony. I'm from Minnesota, and I know other people sound loony, and a lot of times, like, oh, I don't know if I can, this 20 and back stuff, like, I could get into that, but I'm kind of like, I need to honor other people and their stories, that they're speaking their truth, you know? And I know when people are, because there's a lot of schisms in this community. And I'm just going to say, after my book came out, okay. After my book came out, yes, I was attacked and targeted. They went into Amazon and messed up my book. They messed up my cover. They weaponized, like, they do weapon zaps at my house and stuff like that. But I'm from a higher vibration. I don't like, I could give a rat's ass. And I'm like, so after a while, they're like, the all of that, they give up, because, like, I come from a different realm. So anyway, I'm like, but they will target you, and I didn't even know that that was a thing, that when you come out and start speaking the truth, like, Facebook will shut you down, YouTube will shut you down, everybody will shut you down, they'll take over your whatever, everything, and all that kind of baloneyism. That's real stuff, and I didn't know, and I'm experiencing it over the last year, and it's not fun. And this is why I protect my children, I protect my name, my family, and all that kind of stuff. I kind of knew, kind of going in, but this is real deal, people. This is a real deal. It's a real actual fight. And and a friend of mine said, "Hey, if you go into the war, expect to get shot at." I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you for saying that, because now I understand. I don't make money. This is just my passion to help humanity. I don't make money. Like, seriously, if I make $10 a month from book sales, like, woohoo! Like, I'm not making money. Um, so it's a passion. And my word is my voice, it's my heart, and I'm trying to help people. That's my drive. Because I'm really, if you can see it on my face right now, it really upsets me of how we are being shut down. We are enslaved. And I've known this since birth. I've been shown this. I don't
Okay.
need to know more. So that's my whole thing. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana. That was really good. I think we can move into Q&A if you're up for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody here have any questions?
Hi, Dana.
Hey.
I'm so glad you could speak with us today. So I just think that's crazy. But I want to talk to you about a couple things that I know were in your book. And I had to write some stuff down so I could ask an intelligible question while I was
Oh my
talking.
God, you read my book.
So in an early chapter in the book, you
Mhm.
talk you talk and you I think you were just alluding to it now when you were talking about different realms, different factions, and things of that nature. And you talked about negativity and how it's pervasive in society today. And I'm curious, do you have feelings that that's out there for a reason? Is it strictly to quiet people like you and other people that have the, I'll say, courage to speak to what you feel and what you know to be real?
Hmm. Okay, so there's two things. There's the negativity like that comes towards me, and that's specific towards me. But I think you might be talking about um and I think everybody needs to be aware of. Um, I think you're about my age, and TV channels used to sign off and sign on. There'd always be like the flag and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of came in the like 77, 78, like there was these subliminal messages and things like that. And I don't know if this is what you're talking to, but okay. So I'm like, we were well aware of it, and like people slowed things down, and we figured it out, but nobody talked about it after like about 1980. So I have this Manchurian candidate thinking of like programming, all these, like broadcasting, there's frequency and all these kinds of things. In that, I think when people, you're eating your Doritos, you're drinking your beer, and you're watching like some stupid TV show and you're offline. And like for me, I almost can't even drive because I know people are like in a zombie apocalypse state and they're offline. But I'm going to say like this is an infiltration thing, because what I want to say is like there are alien species that live here and control this planet. And they want a takeover from us humans. And what better way to do it is by programming and broadcasting. And so when your thoughts are offline, they can come into your subconscious and start to implement or have a walk in or all these kinds of things. And I'm sorry, and I mean like I don't, but this thought, this thing, this program has been going on since, I'm sure, I can only go back to the 50s, but I'm sure it's way before that. And I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but if that answers your question, but I'm very passionate about it. And again, of being people being mindful. Mindful. Does that help?
Yeah, that does answer that one. So
Hmm.
now I got like a two-parter, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I know that you talk about time and past lives and things of that nature too. And so I'm curious, the first part of this is I'm just curious, and I guess in a short answer would be, I mean, you must believe, or at least I would assume that you believe time's cyclical and it isn't linear, correct?
I think time is a construct, and I think time is a thing that we humans in this realm need to have, because it's like pages in a book um that we need for this realm to exist. Because if we, and I feel that this is a construct for this realm, because if we didn't have it, things wouldn't grow. We need to be able to flip through a page or we wouldn't have separation of time for things to grow. But I don't think this is a construct for the rest of the realm, because for the rest of the realm, I think it's is or being. It just is. And I don't know if that makes sense, but it really resonates with me of is and just the rest of the whole whatever. But I'm going to tell you, because I've been out at the edge of space, this is a cell. And I think there is past this, what we, the depths, if you went a billion years out, it's, and there's more past that. It's just, I'm sorry, there's just more past that. Um, so that's my explanation of that. But that us humans and life needs to have a page, a birth, you know, because the truth of time, and that's where like Hollywood discloses things like Dune. This is how we time travel. This is how we don't sit in a can for 30 years to get to flipping Mars. That's baloney. That is not truth. And they all know that. That is the program that we're being sold like, oh, you got to go into this tuna can, it's going to take so much time. That's baloney. That's so much baloney. Like, I just want to vomit and say other French words right now because that's not truth. Because everything is exponential. It's thought form. It's thought form. And I think, I don't know if Einstein was about that, blah, 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 but I'm like, it's in a moment, it's in a thing. And that's the power of humans, is that you can think yourself to Mars and be there. Because that is the truth of everything, of that you are more godlike than you understand, because everybody's like, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that and there's all these rules and blah blah blah. That is not the flippin' truth. The flippin' truth is that you are more godlike than you understand, and to be at Mars or to be wherever, that is the truth of you. That is the truth of everything. There's not med beds and all this crap. It's crap. It's dross. All of this is dross. You are more godlike than we are capable of understanding, than I can even understand. And I hope that helps you.
Yeah, and I got one more one. I'm curious. You are a Reiki master, I believe, correct? Or in a teacher, yes. Do you, and this goes like with karma and what comes back to us? Do you impact, like we just were talking about past lives, time and stuff? Do you believe that cosmic or cosmic debt is a real thing? And if it is, or for some people may feel that that's come into their life, how can you
Mm-hmm.
move on from said cosmic debt, rather than it just be something that, I don't know if you did something in your past life or if it's something the
Mm-hmm.
way that you're thinking now. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if you believe in cosmic debt, or if you
Oh
if you
yeah.
understand what it's, and if that's possible, how can you help yourself or help another that may be feeling like they're trapped in that?
Oh, okay. So again, everything is frequency. And let me tell you, number one, I'm a Reiki master teacher, and it's a bunch of baloney, and that's a frequency. I'm like, and I've been telling this, and people get upset. I mean, it was a learning tool because let me tell you, up until just, and I mean it exponentially, up until just like 20 years ago, things were as they were. Like, you needed Tibetan monks to like stare at their navel and all that kind of stuff. But there was a breakthrough that happened, and everything like just broke open. It was like an eggshell. It's like amazing. And to me, it was very freeing. Like, I don't know, like, if people understand that. It was just very freeing. Now, karma. I flip and love karma. Because, like, and I believe in the power of prayer and people who might be religious and stuff like that, because prayer is a thought form, spelling, words, singing. You gotta really get into the depths of what frequency is like when you dig into that stuff. Like, it's amazing. And so, like, um, I'm not about revenge or any of these kinds of things. I pray for people's perfect healing. I pray for their karma. And in that way, I'm held free. It's kind of like it's kind of a nasty little thing. It's like I'm free. I'm just praying for your perfect healing. Because to me, it's like you really are hurting other people. Like, let's say Hitler. But I'm praying, like, okay, Hitler, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you at all because judgment is a thing and that would reflect on me. But what I'm praying for is your perfection and your healing. And when you look at the realm in that way, that's very powerful and very strong. So it doesn't come back and hurt you or reflect on you. You're just praying for somebody's perfect healing. You're praying for the correctness. Now, let me tell you, what this realm is trying to do is experience. It's like it literally is AI. There's artificial intelligence and there's source intelligence, source God, heartfelt intelligence. And that's where we need to be very mindful about these different realms because AI cannot create. God can create. God source energy is creator, part of creator. That's why we're human, women and men, blah blah blah. We can create, but AI can't. And when you start to look at these things, and so when you pray for people's karma and things like that, that gets integral into those things. And like you can say evil or good, but creation, non-creation, destruction, you know, I don't know if that kind of explains some of that, but that's where I go from. I'm like, I try not to get involved in it. I just pray for you to be more of who you are. I'm just going to pray for your rope. Go hang yourself. Like, that's kind of the truth of that. And it's epic. And when you pray, when you speak your truth and the power of prayer, when you because I like a lot of things that I do, I ask people, can I pray for you? Can I pray for your healing as a Reiki master? I don't charge people money, and I don't go into the Reiki vibration at all. I learned about it to learn about vibration and stuff like that, but I don't use it. I use more source energy. I call myself a sorceress, which people get triggered by that, but I think it's hilarious. But it's like source energy, God energy, these kinds of things. And that's where I'm like, can I pray for you? And so I go in at night and I just look at the energy around the person and all these kinds of things. And I go into deeper realms and stuff like that. This isn't something that I just do. This is something you can do. All of us should be doing. It's just that we haven't been taught it. We don't know about it. And so that's my passion. That's what I'm trying to help people. And that's what I'm trying to write in my book. As you read, thank you so much for reading my book. That's amazing.
Hello, thanks for speaking to us today. I'm curious, from your perspective, what is Bigfoot?
Oh, well, okay. So in my book, I did write about Bigfoot. Um, I think he's a crypt. I don't know if the right term is a cryptid. I think he's just as much as a being that belongs here. Um, but they're able to phase back and forth. They understand phasing back and forth between the different energy systems. You know what I mean? Like we're really stuck in this one vibrational thing. We're 3D dense. We're dense. That's why it's called 3D. It's 3 dense. We're benighted. I don't mean to cut us down, but they're more of a a frequency thing. Like they understand how to move around these things, and they can go into different vortexes because there's so many vortexes around this planet and all these kinds of things. And they are legitimately the true more like realm of what this planet is. We've been knocked out. We've been knocked out. We're dense. We're benighted. We're duh. And they're still connected to it. Some of them are angry, some of them are hilarious, some are there, whatever. But they also, as I know, is like they're more connected to the ETs and all this kind of stuff. They're more in alignment and frequency with Gaia. If you want to call, if you want to think about the planet Earth as being a living cell, which I would, because I'm going to tell you every cell in my human body, all the elements and atoms and stuff like that, they're living. It's living. And they come from that. They are more about the frequency. They're more about the truth of what's going on this planet. And why wouldn't you hide yourself from these 3D dense, whatever, people? And until we become more enlightened, we'll know them more. But they are around, and they are the true republic of this planet. That's my take. Thank
Oh,
you.
we got one here online that came up.
Okay.
Let's see what it says here. He's Steve, one of our, you can see it up on the screen there. Suggests that you read Psychic, Sasquatch, or Quantum Bigfoot. You ever heard of those books? Yeah.
No.
And yeah,
And I'm
think,
gonna say again, I'm I'm literally like people say, oh, blah 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 and blah blah blah. No, I don't, because I really sequestered myself. I will tell you a Bigfoot hilarious thing. And this had to be in the mid 90s. I'm gonna say about 95. Like, when these reality show things and like it began, like this Sasquatch thing. And I wrote about this in my book. The gentleman before would know this. There was this Sasquatch show, and at the end, like I kind of came up on the end or whatever, it was like, cable or whatever. And he was like on a road like to somebody's cabin. It was very, dirt road, blah blah blah. And the woods were behind him. And he's like, well, we never really saw Sasquatch and blah blah blah. I'm like, dip, dip, dippity doo. I'm not gonna swear. Dip, dip doo. Right behind you. So there was like a dysplasia of a perfect squatch behind him. And it was like right behind him. He's like, well, we never saw anything. I'm like, dude, look at the thing behind you. And in my book, I'm like, didn't any of the editors see this? Didn't the filmography people see this? Didn't anybody notice? It was kind of like, Predator, like the whole thing, this dysplasia. And they don't. So it's like, I think they're all around. They're more prevalent. I think they can kind of go in and out of being seen and unseen, because like in my book I talk about like when you start to open up your mind to the possibility of realms and frequency and all these kinds of things, and just give it onus for half a second, it opens your mind up, and then your eyes start to see it. And that's the fun. If you think life is boring, just say that prayer to have the veil revealed or the veil lifted. Just say that prayer if you have the guts to do it and to see these things, because you're going to start to see it. And so Sasquatch, yeah, there's a lot of cryptids, there's a lot of things. Like, go watch Alien, or it's or Relevant Alien, or like Resident Alien. Watch these shows. Like, Hollywood is always disclosing to us, and they're trying to prime us up for all that kind of stuff. But that's all I have to say in closing. Just remember that you are a whole, holy human, and you are more capable of things that you can't even believe or understand. And I have faith in all of you. And the more we stand up and speak up and communicate. So thank you to having me on this program. Thank you to MUFON. And I have a feeling like my whole realm is going to be like shaken up again, because like the last time I was on MUFON, like, oof, everything's like Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate it. I'm like honored. So thank you for having me. Even
Well,
though it's just in the middle of July, nobody's probably watching, but I know the alliances. I know um that my voice and your voice and your program is being seen by bigger, larger um groups than we can even understand or know about.
I hope so.
No, that's the truth. No, that's the truth. Because I've experienced it. I've
Uh,
experienced it. It's real.
okay, so Mike does have a question. It says, what is your
Okay.
first memory?
No, my first memory was when I was laying in my crib and the magnetic pull on the shades, because this is like well, I would say 1950s, but it's a 1960s house. The shade went up and went flipping around, and I'm in my crib and I look over there and there's this gray balloon in the mirror, in the window, I mean. And the thing of it is like that window is above ground. So my dad would, you see here, clear again. My dad would have to get on a ladder to look into that window. And here's the thing, this is so confusing to me, is like, how did my baby brain understand all of these things? Because I was expecting my parents to come running in, like, who did that? And there was a big, even like, if they weren't even pissed off about the shade going up, just the noise, like, to be like, oh, is there an intruder? All these kinds of things. And none of that happened. And as I said, there was a humming and a vibration, and then this weird, very bright light. But the light was going around like this, which we did live, in the neighborhood. And if a car was going through, it would be more, like later on, I'm thinking it would be, car. But this thing was going all over the place. And there was like this Travis guy or something like that. I think he was in Washington or something. About a couple years later, something like he had a vibrational humming encounter. But my neighbor, the little girl, Jenny Jo. Oh, she's not. She's not in this pictures, but she's like, I've got pictures of her. But anyway, and she stopped me to say she remembered the humming and the vibrations, and she said it petrified her. Those were the words that she used. It petrified her. So that was the first of these aliens. And that's the premise for the rest of my life, of like, all of this is BS. It's just bologna sandwich. Everything, I would go to church. We were Lutheran. I'm like, do you believe in the Holy Ghost? Like, I'm a little girl at the little stupid coffee hour. And like, and nobody would, I'm like, how are you a Christian? You don't believe in ghosts. You talk about Holy Ghosts. Like I just dismissed everybody. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're all stupid. Like, what the F? Like, if you just really knew what was going on. Like, so I've been very awake since I was 6 or 9 months old. And as I say, that was my first recollection. It could have happened earlier, but I don't know. And that's, again, I don't know how many humans have been interacted with ETs and stuff like that, but I guarantee you most of them, probably 90%, don't know. They don't know. So, and that's a tragedy. It's terrible. But this is why I'm doing it. I don't get paid. It's just a passion. I'm 63. I'm like on the back nine. And so I feel like I'm free to speak my truth now, because I don't, whatever. You know, it would be wrong of me not to share the things that I know, or speak up as an elder. As an elder, to say, here's what's really going on, people.
All right. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again, Dana.
I appreciate it. Really, you guys. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Watermelon. Really? Yeah, all right. Well, at least it's not ranch. Somehow I wish that was ranch. Oh, hey, look, you're still here. So since you're still here, please hit that subscribe, hit the like, bell for notifications, all that stuff. Around here, some video popped up. Watch that one because that's one of ours too. Trying to grow our channel. We need all the help we can get. Thanks. Hit that video wherever it's at. Video. Mr. Bigelow, you have your hand